Welcome to Cooking with Andrea. Today we are doing tamale pie. I am so excited. I thought I was so clever when I did this. I could save food, wouldn't waste my masa. So I'm excited. Plus, I love this kind of stuff. I didn't eat these a lot when I was a kid, but I did grow up eating this can of tamales. I love this can of tamales. I also ate something my mom and dad would have every once in a while that tamale pie you could find in the frozen section. Most of the time, though, my parents, it was a family thing. Mom and dad were smart. They had all us kids lined up at the counter. We all spread masa. Mama made the meat, rolled the tamales, and put them in the pan. So it was dad and us on down who were the masa spreaders. Well, I love these, and then I love tamales, but I love tamales more. But I do love a tamale pie, and this is a really cool thing to make. I had just recently made for people who didn't know how to make tamales. I made about 200 tamales and showed everybody how to make them and things like that. So I had gone to the store. Usually I make my own masa. It goes 50-50. Sometimes I'll buy it, sometimes I'll make it. But I had gone to the store or the Mexican market and I had bought the masa. So I did not want the masa to waste. Normally if I make it, then I can kind of gauge now, because I've been doing it for so long, how much masa I need. But I have to go buy 10, 20 pounds. I have to buy 20 pounds. I'm going to have some left over. And I was like, well, I'm not going to waste this masa. Food's expensive. Money's money. So this was my little creation. My husband told me, boy, I hate to see you stand there for hours and hours and spread the masa. Because guess what? Parents are too old to spread masa. Kids are all grown up, so it's all about me. Sometimes all about you is not good always. It's really nice when you have lots of hands in the kitchen and you're all spreading masa. So my husband had bought me this a long time ago. It's my tortilla press, because I make our homemade tortillas most of the time. And he tells me, take the hoja out of the water. He says, put the hoja down like this. And then what I did is, because he didn't want me to have to spread them with the knife like I always do, he says, just, roll it up in a ball, put it down and smash it and see how it goes. Well, I did it. Guess what? It comes out pretty darn good. Just wanted to let you know, as I'm unpeeling, a lot of times you won't have any smash part and it won't be quite that hard, or you won't have the masa on the back. But when you smash them, which, boy, saves a lot of time, you get a little bit of smashing. But guess what? They taste delicious. I went ahead and froze these after I steamed them, because if you steam these, it's a much healthier product than me eating this all the time, especially at my age. I say when you're young, eat all the cans you can, and you'll be perfectly fine. But when you get old, there has this thing called triglycerides, and just getting old is for the birds itself. So you have to do exercising, and you have to eat a little bit better. Doggone. I tell you, that's just wrong. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just unpeeling the hoja, or the tamale masa in the corn husk. We call them hojas. So anyways, you just do it like this, unpeel them, because this is steamed just like if I were to make a tamale, but there's no meat inside, no nothing, no cheese or jalapenos. It's just plain masa. But this is a good way for you to have a healthy masa. And I steamed it. I didn't let any of my masa go to waste. Out of the 20 pounds, this is what I got out. This is what I had left over. I try not to waste food, especially a tamale product, because tamales are delicious, but I try not to waste any food. Food is very expensive. So I'm trying to be much more conscious of how much money I spend at the grocery store. And also show you guys we can do it a little bit healthier, but still keep a lot of flavor. Because really, it is how much you eat at one time. And obviously what you do eat. But if you're making it from scratch, this is a steamed masa. So you're doing good in my opinion. But like I said, not all of us know how to make the tamales. So we have to eat them out of a can because we want to enjoy it. And like I said, if you don't eat it all the time. Plus, there's nothing. I'm a steak lover, and I don't eat steak every day. I don't even eat it once a week. Maybe once I'll get crazy and have it once or twice a month, but usually it's once a month. So basically I have my masa. It's already cooked. So basically when I put everything into the oven to bake for about 35 minutes to get it nice and bubbly, juicy, everything will already be cooked. So we have steamed masa, which is great. And like I said, if you don't know how to do it, buy it. And then you'll learn. You'll learn in the future how to do it. But, okay, so I already had the masa in my freezer. I had my wonderful meat from when I did the Cuban sandwich, just sliced pork. So that's what I'm going to cut up. And then I label, because I'm always making sauces and gravies. This is called my great enchilada sauce. But I say, don't label yourself because, you know, it's not just an enchilada sauce. It can be a red sauce. Although when I make tamales, to be honest, I use Las Palmas. I use 1 can of enchilada sauce and 1 can of red sauce. That's how I traditionally make my meat for my tamales. That's what I usually use traditionally. So if you can't make your own sauce like I did, but I make this sauce, and the reason I make this sauce is because I'm kind of a blast from the past. You know, I have certain things on my channel that, like hot hats, things I grew up with, things that I used to eat. Well, when I was a kid, my mom and dad used to have, we'd get TV dinners every couple of weeks, and that would be like, oh my gosh, so great, because my mom traditionally cooked or my dad cooked all the time. So I did the same thing with my kids. So I would eat this one Mexican little enchilada plate, and it had beans and rice in it. I actually was making sauce one day, and I can mimic that sauce that I used to eat when I was a kid. So it brought some stuff back to me, flash from the past, you know. So this is my sauce. It is on my channel. It's a very good sauce. I encourage everybody to try it. And it's only got oil, a little bit of flour, and then tomato sauce, seasonings, and that's about it. But boy, this sauce tastes so delicious. So what I did is I took 2 of these out of my freezer, and I wanted to open one and let it just sit in the fridge. I didn't warm it because it's going to heat all the way through when we're baking this. But I want to put a lot of sauce because it's going to be real flavorful. And you want it to be flavorful like this can. The one thing I like about the can is if you take all the juice and empty it out, they could even put more juice in there in my opinion, but it does have enough. And that's what makes the masa taste so good too. So I'm going to open the rest of this, but I wanted you guys to see that I took this out from my freezer. And I had everything. I didn't have to cook anything because I had done it a previous day. Because I like TV dinners, you know, every once in a while. Not like when I was a kid. But I don't eat out as much, and I don't eat as much frozen. You know, things like that. I'm trying to stay away from, now that I'm the age I am, processed foods. I really do think we have to get back to basics. Get in the kitchen, start cooking, all of us. But, you know, we don't have that kind of time sometimes because, you know, I was a working parent. My kids are grown now. But, boy, I worked all my life, and I worked very hard. And so I know how it is to try and get in the kitchen and try and do what you got to do. Let me just use it all. We don't want no stragglers left behind. So this is beautiful. So basically all you're doing is coating. It's going to be tasting terrific. Okay, now I'm going to push this forward so you can see. So that's just the masa and my sauce. Now I'm going to take my meat out. All this is my pork. That's why I always say, get a pork butt or a pork shoulder butt and just cook it in your crock pot. Leave it whole. Take it out of the crock pot. Let it cool for an hour. Put it in your fridge. Then you could take your meat jelly or juice or whatever you want to call it. You could skim the fat right off of it. And look, it's not greasy at all. But I don't like to always shred my my pork unless I am making tamales. Then yes, I do shred it because it fits in the corn husk better than chunks. Plus, unless you cook your meat really super soft, which I could do the cubing things, but I've had cubed tamales where the beef has not been, and I was surprised where the pork has not been very soft, and I do not like that. My pork, my beef has to be soft. I am not chewing for days because that means I did something wrong. And I'm not going to admit that. I'm going to cook mine nice and juicy and tender. So basically, I'm just going to put all this meat. It's about 4 slices of my pork, so it's probably about a half a pound of meat. And you can put the fat because the fat will give it, it'll give it some good juicy texture because there's really not any fat in here because the hojas or the tamales are already steamed, so there's no fat or anything like that. So I say go for it. So use all your pork and just cut it up, rough chop, just like that, and it's going to taste delicious. Now, it's not something you want to eat every night, but I'll tell you, you eat it once, you'll think next time you have a little bit of masa, just, especially if you run out of meat. Sometimes I run out of meat. And then what I do is I just go ahead, put some masa in there, and you know, you don't even need your tortilla press. You could actually just squeeze it with your hand, so, you know, it wasn't so compressed to it. You could do whatever makes it easy on you. Remember, do what you like, because cooking is important. All I'm doing is give you an idea. That's why when I go to the internet and I'm just looking for a different idea. You know, somebody could just do something so simple. I never had a smoked meatloaf before in my life. I saw somebody smoking a meatloaf, and oh my God, that was so delicious. So what I do now is every once in a while, I smoke my meatloaf. Okay, that's pretty easy. This recipe is so easy because everything is already done. That's why I say, go get a whole pork. Go get a whole side of beef. Cook it in your crock pot if you don't have time. Just put it in the crock pot. You got a fresh meat. Just let it cool. Oh my gosh, and you'll be fine. And then you have dinners. You know, I told you guys when I made that Cuban sandwich 2 months ago, it'll make 5 dinners. That's one of my dinners. Look at this big, beautiful thing. It's gorgeous. And if you want, you can add more of the masa too. And you can always add that afterwards. Like say you didn't put enough masa. That's why I put quite a bit. I took 2 cups of cheese, and mine has cheddar. It's a sharp cheddar. I have a little bit of mozzarella and a little bit of jack cheese. And that was all the cheese I had just in my refrigerator because I'm trying to get and use up all my stuff and make it for a day where I don't have to cook like a crazy woman. So basically, our tamale pie is ready to go into the oven. I've had my oven heating for about 30 minutes now at 400 degrees. I'm going to cook it at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes, and we'll be back. Welcome back. We just got our tamale pie casserole out of the oven. 35 minutes. We're going to take a little piece and try it, but it looks fantastic. Cheese has got some bubbly stuff going on. I better get my, oh, look, it looks fantastic. I want to show you just how it looks. There's the masa right here. And if you see the masa, oh, look, it looks great. So we're going to take a little bite here. See the flavors that we got out of this. You know what, actually I'm just going to move that back, and I am just going to take a bite here. Okay, there's what the masa looks like. Really soft and delicious. Very good. And then I'm going to take a bite. Here's the sauce, and here is the meat. Okay, everything came out great. Now, my sauce, in my opinion, is a little spicy. It's just a little spicy. So if you don't like yours that spicy, I believe, though, on my channel, making the sauce, I have it just a step down, but we can make it in different degrees of heat. This is a very easy thing to make. Basically, I took my meat I had in the freezer, I took my masa I had in the freezer, and I took my sauce that I had in the freezer, and then we just threw it together like a regular casserole. You know how I said my TV dinners, I kind of have to watch what I eat. Um, I can pretty much eat anything I want, but I also have to make a conscious decision because of age, this getting old thing. But this is where I say I make my own little TV dinners because I don't really have a processed food. It's more of a fresh frozen. And then I would just add a cup of beans and maybe a cup of rice to my tamale pie or just do my tamale pie. So that's how I make my TV dinners a lot of the times, unless I'm treating myself and I pick my favorite TV dinner like when I was a kid. But this is how I make my TV dinners for me and my family. Then we have something that I don't have to cook that night. I just have to warm up. So I encourage everybody to try this. This tastes delicious. It was super easy, super inexpensive. And please enjoy. And we'll make some other delicious things in the future. Thank you.